Our next speaker works under the office of the COL chairman to fulfill their vision of empowering Filipinos to make informed financial decisions, contributing to the growth of a stronger nation. Right here this afternoon to discuss Invest in Yourself, Invest in the Nation, please welcome Chief Investment Strategist and co-founder of Trading Edge, Mr. Jed L. Velarde.
Hi, Robin. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. So, every one of us would have this cell phone. You have your cell phones with you. So, this cell phone is actually a mirror. You know why? Ask me why. Because it's a mirror that tells something about yourself. We use this for TikTok, for Shopee, Grab, what else? For postings and orders, add cart. But what if I ask you if this cell phone really would be more of a reflection of sustainability? Are you more of a consumer or an owner? In what sense? So today, let me just simply give you an overview. I'll be speaking more of sustainability. And in my deck, I'll just simply share about when you talk about sustainability, the first thing that comes to mind will be more of recycling, renewable energy, climate action, and protecting our environment. I mean, rightly so. Okay. But what if I ask you, can we expand it more in a greater context of actually human resources? Specifically, providing sustainability in the realm of financial aspects. So that's what I will be sharing to you and how we connect it with investing in us and connecting it in investing in our nation. So let me start. When you talk about sustainability, there are three pillars. We talk about environment, which is often dealt about, okay? We talk about as well as how it impacts society. But less is really mentioned about economy, financial aspects. Because when you talk about in order for you to sustain a nation, we want to protect the environment. We also need to protect the people, the resources, the human resources that we have. And this talk about financial resilience. When I ask you, how's your financial life? What's the first thing that comes into your mind? How's your money perspective? Like here in our nation, this is something that we wanted to also address. Did you know? Ask me what? Again, did you know? Ask me what? Here in the Philippines, only 29% of Filipinos, adult Filipinos, actually save. And even a quarter of that actually do invest. And it's really, really sad. So we want to make sure that the people that drives the whole idea of sustainability in this nation, especially the young people, would have that tenacity, the encouragement to go out and making sure that financial resilience is part of the agenda. It is something that I'm so passionate here. I'm representing as well this movement to make sure that young people would really learn how to invest. And investing for some would mean, that's just for old people. Investing could mean, that's just for smart people or for those who have money. What if I tell you investing can be something that you could really start even if you're young? I'm talking to a young audience here. But without this topic, without this agenda of financial resilience, it seems that sustainability can be still incomplete. The first thing that I wanted to really stress on is that sustainability only happens first and foremost if you have to invest in yourself. Everybody say myself. You have to say it more convincingly, myself. So when you invest in yourself, you're not just investing before all of the portfolio, before talking about the stock market, the state of affairs of the global markets. Let's talk about yourself. We're talking about your mindset, your skills, your networks, your disciplines, your habits. That's the first thing. When somebody would ask me, yesterday we were in Frasati building talking to the faculty of UST on financial literacy as well with their students in senior high school. When they ask me, sir, how do we make sense of our finances? What's the first thing that we have to do? This is a starting point. You want to make sure this is sustained. An idea, a concept of investing can be so overwhelming. But this is the first start that we wanted to also make sure that every young person in this nation would get to be grounded. You know who you are. You know your habits. Invest in good habits, and that habit could actually reap good consequences. And how do we go about with this? Because for young people, I'm talking about the young people in the room, time is your greatest asset. Can I say a show of hands? If you're 20-ish, okay, that's 20-ish and below, raise your hand. Good. 20-ish and below. Wow. Congratulations. Okay? Can you tell to your seatmate, congratulations? Congrats. You know why? You have a great advantage. You have an unfair advantage even, if you wanted to look at it that way. Why? Because you're young and you have a greater and longer investing horizon. Now, if you're 30-ish above, raise your hand. Thank you for coming. But no worries. It's never too late. It's still not too late. It's just that if you're young, that in itself is a superpower. Because starting early beats starting big. Between an amount and the duration, if I'm 22 years old, between a 22 years old who's consistently investing regularly, and between a 32 years old who just entered the game late, but still consistently investing. By the time they're 60, guess, exact amount with the same assumption of, let's say, 8% annual growth rate, who do you think wins? The 22-year-old or the 32-year-old? The 22-year-old. Why? That missed decade of a 32-year-old, simply because he started late, spelled a whole lot of consequence. So there's the power of starting early, because compounding, what is compounding? It's the continuous increase eventually of your earnings, or look at it this way, it's like a snowball effect. Imagine a snowball rolling down the hill. As it rolls down the hill, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. That's compounding for you. And it's something that a lot of young people right now may really take not a good look at it. Okay? So this is something that we wanted to also provide you. Time is your superpower, and it's for young people. Investing is for young people. Okay? Now, let me move it. So we want you to stop only buying from companies. Start owning them. How can I own companies? Well, when you talk investing, I'm coming from a capital markets perspective. When you buy companies, let's say listed in the stock market, you become a part owner, a small owner, an itsy-bitsy, teeny-weeny owner of that publicly listed company. Okay. So the transformation is you're not anymore a consumer. The drive right now is for you to become an investor. So the shift is for you as an individual, buying instead of stuff, you do add to carts. Remember, using our phones, we keep on adding to carts, adding to carts. That shift right now is instead of adding to carts, we'll be adding to portfolios. Because when you are actually investing, you're actually being part of that movement of raising sustainable, resilient people of our nation. When you invest, you're not just investing for yourself. The whole thesis of what we're saying here, you're actually investing also in companies. And these companies will also invest on people. And it goes a circular economy. And that people would get to have jobs, and these jobs would actually help them move and strengthen their families. And strong families strengthen communities, and stronger communities strengthen a nation. So that's the entire thesis of this. So that's why an expanded version, an expanded narrative for sustainability is we want to sustain it through educated, financially educated Filipinos. But sadly, did you know that there's already a law here in the Philippines that would push for financial literacy? But still, sadly, it's not that still extensively applied, just like any other law. So what will happen right now is that we wanted to push more. Can that also be embedded? The problem is not behavioral. It's both also structural here in our country. And that's why we wanted to push more for people to have that semblance, to have that conviction that if I'm a young person at this point, and if I'm listening right now, can I actually invest on my growth, invest on my perspective, and specifically literally investing in this economy? So let's do practical thing. A practical example could be that of investing in REITs. Are you familiar with REITs? R-E-I-T-S? REITs or REITs are called, which means real estate investment trusts. It's like owning a piece of a productive rental producing business without owning the actual property. It's as if you're a landlord without really owning that property, but still earning regular dividends. So when we were small, we were told by our parents, oh, buy land because land appreciates. But can you buy land right now with 2,000 pesos? Soil, you could actually buy that soil. But then again, with REITs, you can actually buy shares of the company that provide productive infrastructures that would give regular earnings. And that dividends for you actually will be given, according to the REIT law, you'll be given 90% of that dividends to you. Okay? So this is another way of earning as an investment. Now, for practical purposes, let's say an example of which would be RCR, Robinsons Land Commercial REITs, one of the 8 REITs here in the Philippines. RCR has been in the forefront also of providing that opportunity for you to actually own a piece of a rent producing property without really buying that property in itself. So that's what this actually provides. If you go at different aspects of investing in companies, we're talking about malls, we're talking about properties, we're talking about towers which are LEED and EDGE certified certified buildings, which are also sustainable. Okay, so again, companies like RCR would give you that opportunity to start investing in yourself, but at the same time investing in that capacity to make sure that you go out and find relevance for this type of sustainability. Pero at the end of the day, we want you to look at money as more than the things that you get to receive. Wealth here is redefined. In the context of sustainability, wealth, I would like to position wealth as something that is given to us, an opportunity to make a difference to other people. Okay. I get to do this a lot when we come to different students. And one of those things that we get to encounter when it comes to students is that they have this question, Sir, it's so hard to understand the market, especially in the Philippines. It's with all of the things happening right now, how can we make sure that we get to be rich? Who wants to be rich here? Okay. I mean, I haven't really encountered somebody who would say, I wanted to be poor, dirt poor. Wala pa naman nun, di ba? Pero the concept of being rich talks more about adding value. Can we redefine it to make it really sustainable? Wealth is more than money, more than what we actually receive. It's actually the value we get to give out to people. Now, for this to be sustainable, the whole aspect of doing it is to provide that kind of freedom. What is that financial freedom? It's your ability to do the things that you love without even the question of money. Imagine yourself going to a restaurant, opening the menu without looking at the price. Wow, diba? And ordering the things that you love. Imagine yourself going to a department store, buying the good fashion that you like without looking at the price tag. That's freedom. Imagine yourself waking up one day and not be shackled by your obligations simply because you're free to do the things that you love. So that's what this is all about. Having financial freedom to do the things that could also contribute and add value to people. Because that financial freedom would lead more to purpose. Because you're just not free also to be sustainable. You're not just free to do the things that you like. Okay? You want to also tie it with purpose. And that purpose for you guys is to make sure that these things, when I started as a student, I'm talking to young people, when I get to invest, yes, I invest in myself, but I start to invest really doing it the proper way, I need to understand that I must have a long-term perspective for it to be sustainable. And long-term perspective is something that is innate for young people. So you tie it up with your purpose, and its impact also would redound to yourself, your family, your community, and hopefully this nation. So we want you to start this week. Let's have these 3 big ideas. Learn about the concept of budgeting. For us, budgeting seems to be we take advantage of budgeting. I don't have a budget for that. Budgeting is simply a plan for your money. Without you budgeting it, I don't know where it will go. So when you budget, it's simply, there's a rule of thumb. We call it the 50-30-20% rule. 50% goes to your essentials, the things that will keep you alive. 30% goes to lifestyle choices so that you won't feel deprived. And 20% goes to financial provisions or financial priorities. Could it be your saving and investing? Don't just simply save, because whatever you save, whatever you set aside, eventually it would lose its value. Okay? We want you to also invest. You save, yes, it's half the battle won, but when you invest, what you set aside, you make it grow. So it's all about saving and investing. And you have a plan, the master plan. Learn to do budgeting. There are so many budgeting apps if you want to look at it. So learn budgeting, learn also investing. Investing is not really that complicated. What if I tell you a young person could actually invest even right here, right now? I mean, when talking about investing in the capital markets, that's also possible. Okay? Now, gone are the days that you have to wait until you're 30, you're 40, or you're saying yourself, until that such time that I have enough money, then I'll invest. We're saying investing is now possible, and it's really designed for young people. Okay? Now, of course, we want you to also understand risks. Is there risk in investing? Yes. Okay? But risk is given. Okay? Risk is a reality. Like, you have money in my hands. Let's say, imagine I have money. I'm holding a bunch of money. Is there risk? What's the risk of me holding this money? Somebody might steal it, right? Or things could happen. But another risk? Inflation. You've heard about inflation? Inflation is the continuous rise of the prices of goods and services year after year after year, to the point that the purchasing power of your money deteriorates. Guys, your 100 pesos right now will not be the same 100 pesos tomorrow or the years to come. Value-wise, physically, it's still the same 100 pesos. But its value, what it could actually provide you, will be less. And inflation is really an enemy. What would a wise person would do? A wise person would make sure that you beat inflation. Right now, inflation is harboring around 4 and even breaching 4, hopefully not going beyond 5%. Okay. What's that 4%? That means that's the percentage of what it eats up for the value of your money. A wise person would make sure that your money will grow higher than what inflation eats up. Okay? I have a brief of a story here. I used to receive, I was a scholar, I used to be receiving a specific amount of money from the government. Okay. And you know what? That amazing amount of money, way back during my time, it's only 500 pesos. But that's a big amount of money. Okay, 500 pesos during my time. You know what I'll do? I'll go to the nearest grocery way back in college. You know how I would do that? What will I get? If I have 500 pesos back then, with 500 pesos in a grocery, what will I get? Basket or cart? Back then, I'll get the biggest cart and I'll place a basket there. How does one conduct himself if you have 500 pesos in a grocery? You just simply grab items. Diba? Just grab it without looking at the actual items. Diba? And when I went to the cashier, I will hand her the 500 pesos. She will compute it and she'll give me change. Okay? Now fast forward. I think a couple of weeks ago, I told my wife, Mommy, I'll do an experiment. Present day, 500 pesos, same grocery, or at least same line of grocery. Guess, present day, 500 peso budget, what did I get? Basket or cart? Nothing. Hand carry. It's just 500 pesos eh. Diba? So how would a person with 500 pesos do? Conduct himself in a grocery on a budget? You'll be very particular with the price. But problem here, groceries right now, they don't have specific prices labeled. Instead, what do they have? Barcode. So they're expecting you have a barcode reader in your eye. Ay, ang mahal, ay, ang mahal, ay, ang mahal. So I was just holding all of those items. I went to the cashier, handed her the 500 pesos. And you know what? The cashier stopped after computing and said, Sir, kulang. It's not enough. That's inflation. It's real, it's happening. And for us, for young people, for every one of us here, we know that this is a reality. We want you to really understand that a wise person would make sure you know that inflation is happening, okay? That percentage of inflation, you must make sure that your money will grow higher than what inflation eats up, okay? And of course, having risks, okay? You know what's the greatest risks? Different strokes for different folks. There are people who are moderate in terms of their risks. There are those who are aggressive, and there are those who are really conservative. But you know what's the greatest risk? Ask me what? The greatest risk is not investing. Those people who are so afraid because they get scammed, I mean, rightly so. I mean, I know, I understand. Scams is another different animal altogether. Because have you encountered people who have been scammed? Or have you been scammed also? That's one of our greatest enemies. Scams. When people get scammed, or they have a really bad experience, and they would say all other legitimate investing aspects, instruments now, will be put into question. And that's something that we wanted to also fight. Okay? So risk is happening, but the greatest risk is not investing. For you to be steady, that's the worst thing to be part of. So those are the 3 things that we want you to actually learn and actually embrace. There are 2 things that you have to build. Build an emergency fund. It's just like a seat belt. Okay? As a seat belt, you cannot drive without a seat belt. An emergency fund will be at least a month or so. For a student, you just keep on saving and saving enough, okay? And making sure that it's no excuse for you to say, I don't have any job yet. I don't receive anything yet, you could start with your allowance. Because by that time, you build that habit brings you to that level already once that you're able to actually have your own salary or your means of earning. And of course, do a starter portfolio. What's a portfolio? A portfolio is simply a collection of your investments. And you could actually start that. Not for returns per se. In fact, you could actually start investing more for your identity. And it's a practice that we actually challenge a lot of young people today. Because how can young people, even students, would actually earn? Okay? Just start a portfolio. More of it's a first step for you as to place your identity, not anymore as a consumer, but more of an investor. And lastly, begin. There's power in beginning. Because at the end of the day, you'll walk out of these halls and you would say, what did I miss? Yeah. So, momentum starts with action. Experience starts with action. Growing your learning, your knowledge starts with action. And growing your wealth starts with repeated action again and again. Okay? So we're encouraging you to don't just build your resume. Yes, of course, add your skills, build those habits, but don't just build a resume. We want you to build a portfolio that would redefine now. There will be a shift in your perspective, especially since you're a young person. Investing is designed for young people. And at the end of the day, we want you to invest in yourself, invest in each other, and of course, invests in this nation. To make it really sustainable, you're investing in your capacity to build this nation through financial education to become financially resilient. And together, sustainability, the narrative for sustainability gets to be expanded simply because there will be a shift for young people of our nation to really invest and invest wisely. Thank you very much and good afternoon.